Hey, how's it going, guys? Got a knife review for you. What you're looking at here today is the Gerber Gator II. This is an upgrade model from the original Gator 1. For those of you who own the Gator 1, you're going to notice that the most obvious difference is the fact that the blade now has a finger hole for you to have one-handed opening. Before, the blade didn't have a thumb stud or a finger opening, so you would have to use two hands in order to open the blade. Other people do what I found people to call the Spyderco drop, which is basically you hold the blade and then flip it like that. However, I think that's more of a fancy move instead of something practical, because once you have it here, you have to use the other hand in order to grab it in a proper grip. I just got this a couple of days ago, and like most Gerber knives, when you get it brand new, it comes in really stiff. In fact, if you try to open it one-handed at first using just friction and the fleshy part of your hand, you're going to end up wearing out your thumb. I find that you're going to have to open and close it for about a week before the action loosens up. It's only been a couple of days, but it's loosened up considerably. Until then, when you first get a knife, I would recommend, particularly for this knife, you stick the tip of your thumb inside, push it up to here, and then you can use friction and the fleshy part to open it up all the way. At this point, this is loosened enough where I can just use pressure, like so. And yeah, it's not bad. Has a tight lockup, and while I'm at it, let me discuss how a lockback style knife works. If you'll look inside here, see if I can get the light in close enough. See that little bar right there inside, that little silvery piece? Basically the bar is attached to the handle, and it's just a steel rod like this, and then basically when you push down on this button, it pushes on the bar provides resistance. It doesn't want to bend, and that's what gives the resistance when you're pushing the lockback. The lockback rocks on this hinge right here, as you can see, and on the tip of this lockback there's a hook, and then the blade rotates here on this torque screw, and that's another hook as well, so they hook in like this. And then once you disengage the lockback, it lifts up, and then the blade can rotate because the hook is free. So when I disengage this, let's see if you can see it here. See that right there? That's like the first hook, and then just like the Gerber Easy Up, this has a two-position lock, so it'll open and it'll stop halfway because there's a second mechanism that'll catch onto the lock right here. And then when I close it, you see that second hook right there. Other differences between this and the original Gator is you'll notice that there are these little relief cuts all on the handle right here and along the back in order to provide more traction, and also the handle is shaped in an hourglass, so it fills in the main part of your palm, which is quite nice. Also, another thing is, in addition to this finger troll, there's an extra little bump indentation here to fit the contours of your hand. I find that this knife is actually sized more for somebody with medium to large size hands. I have small size hands, although I don't feel that this doesn't fit poorly. I mean, this is just fine. As for the grip, that's the main reason I got this. I don't really have a use for another knife. I have plenty enough on my own. But no other knife has been more comfortable in my hand than the Gerber Gator. They use this really soft, really grippy craton, and then if you look here, if I can bring it in closer, they try to texture it in the pattern of gator skin, which is where it gets its name. But yeah, locks in very tight just because of the shape, these relief cuts, and this grippy, rubbery material. Even if this blade were to get wet, I don't think you really have to worry about this slipping out of your hand anytime soon. If you look here on the back of the blade, you'll see that there's a slight thumb ramp that goes up with some jimping here. It's not super deep, but it grabs just enough so I don't feel like my thumb is going to slip. Along the back of the blade right here, you'll notice there's a slight curve, so that if I want to, I can put my thumb on the back of the blade for more pressure, for more intense cuts. There's a lanyard hole here at the end in case you want to tie some paracord and wrap it around your wrist in case you're doing some cutting in water and you don't want to lose your knife. And the lockback mechanism is held in by a pin, and the actual blade is held in by torque screws on either side. So I'm guessing if you had torque screws and a punch, you could take apart this blade and put it back together yourself. I'm not too mechanically inclined, but if you are, go for it. I'm guessing they offer that feature just in case you use this in salt water or a lot of grit gets inside and you need to clean it out in order to clear the action. The blade itself is a drop point design, and let's see here if I can bring out the Easy Out, which I reviewed before. This is the Easy Out Junior. You'll notice the exact same blade shape and geometry. This is listed as a drop point just because the top spine here curves forward like that, whereas on the Easy Out it's straight, and it's listed as a clip point because clip point just goes straight or curves up. But other than that, exact same blade geometry with hollow ground edges. Just like the Easy Out Junior, the blade for the Gator 2 is a 420 high carbon steel. It's a good general all-purpose steel. It has pretty good rust resistance. The blade itself is a little too thin for batoning. I'd want my blade to be at least a quarter of an inch thick and also of a more harder steel. But for most outdoor uses and heavy duty usage, this is just fine. Go with a fine edge. I always promote the use of the fine edge instead of the combination serrated edge, just because by putting the serrated edge here, you're going to be giving up the main part of where you're going to start most of your cuts. You're going to start here and then move along. However, if you're going to do stuff like a lot of rope cutting, then you might want the serrated edge, but I always like the fine edge. I mean, you can still cut rope with this, it just won't be quite as fast as with a serrated. But love the blade shape. So between the thumb ramp and the shape of the handle and the gripping material, it sits very comfortably in hand. I mean, seriously, of all the knives that I have right now, this is probably the most comfortable one that I own. Also, at this point, in addition to being able to open it one-handed, like I talked about before, where I would talk about the Easy Out Junior, the one-handed closing, you could just use the closing of your palm to close it. This is a little bit too big, too gnarly for my hand, just because the bar is a lot bigger on this lockback mechanism, so it's a lot more pressure to close this. So trying to rock back and trying to push this is just too much pressure to just use my index finger to close it. However, I have small hands. If you have very large hands, go for it. Maybe it'll work for you. If you really are intent on closing this one-handed, and I'm only going to do this once, is underneath the blade, this part right here is called the ricasso. And on certain blades, for example, a lot of Spyderco knives, there's a generous amount of ricasso, so that when you close it, let's see if I can do this, you disengage the locking mechanism and flick it forward like so. And if you notice, the ricasso catches on my finger. Now, a lot of people with Spyderco knives do this flicking motion, and then once it gets to here, they use their hand to close it. I don't recommend doing that just for safety reasons. I just wanted to show it to you so that you know that you can do this with the Gator 2, but for this blade, I would probably recommend using two hands for closing it. Also, in addition, in this package, it also comes with a nylon sheath. I like that instead of the leather sheath for outdoor usage. Leather is going to absorb water, it's going to crack, it's going to mold. Nylon's a much better material. However, it has a Velcro closure. For that, I'd rather have a snap, just because over time the Velcro is going to wear out, and plus when dirt gets in here, it's not going to fasten as cleanly, and if you're using this in cold environments, if snow gets in here and freezes, it's not going to seal at all. So would much rather have a snap, but I mean, if you know how to sew, you can just sew one in yourself. This particular package is called the gut hook package, so it also comes with, oh, by the way, there's the main part right here and then a little back pocket for what I'm about to show you here. It comes with a gut hook. So this blade is actually intent for like hunting, so in addition, like once you make a cut here, you get this little gut hook. Your finger comes in here and locks in, so there's no way you can slip. There's nice jimping on the back here, and it's curved for your thumb. And then basically once you make a cut, you dig this in and then you just pull on this, and this little blade right here will just help you pull apart skin. Now, I don't hunt and I don't skin anything, but this is kind of a nice little bonus to have, so it's cool. I mostly got this for the knife, but nice little added extra to have. There is, in addition to the serrated and fine point version, there is a gut hook version where the hook is at the tip. So if you can imagine it, let's see if I can put this behind. It'll look something like that. So you have the blade and then you have like the hook at the tip pointing the other way. So then once you've made the cut, you stick it in the other way and then you pull. I like this a lot better just because this is a cleaner profile. I mean, the blade just looks a lot nicer and a lot more functional. Plus, I feel weird about grabbing the blade and hooking it like this with the blade facing me. So yeah, great blade, very sturdy, incredibly comfortable, and retails for about, let's see, I think you can get it for about $30, $35 online. I know you can get it for about $32 with free shipping on Amazon. And seriously, you won't regret it. If you're into like utility knives, not for show, but for actual usage, the Gerber Gator II is going to be a great buy for you. So that's my review. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a good day.